Time for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, live from the studios in. Through Bilka Curve.
No.
Let's say it again.
Greenville, North Carolina.
There we go.
Sorry, yeah, I was trying to get the thumbnail changed on the thing.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Play it again. We're live from the studios in.
Greenville, North Carolina.
There you go. You like the accent. You know, I don't know if I ever told you this, Pilk. So when I worked for ABC News, the thing they really liked, and you had a lot of this in Florida, you had a lot of this to a degree in North Carolina, they loved accents when you did sound bites. Because it's color.
Yeah.
You know, it's so anything that was a southern accent, a foreign accent of some kind, they really loved that. You know, you'd have the booming voice of the P-Man on the piece of business, and then you throw to a sound cut, and somebody would talk with an accent that sounded like this for this young lady.
Greenville, North Carolina.
There you go.
Poor girl's friends are texting her going, hey, they keep playing your
Greenville,
soundbite.
North Carolina. So we got a huge show today. We got a huge top 5 at 5. We have David McKenzie, who has proven to be one of our most popular guests, and I think one of our best guests. He is a lawyer who specializes in NIL. He specializes in First Amendment issues, contract law, and intellectual property law. And when we had the Menza situation with Duke in Miami, he was our guest for a couple of instances with that, some other stuff with NIL. I mean, he is absolutely outstanding. So we got to get to him because we have a tight window in which to get him. So let's start with the Big Rock. They have had a fish come in. Now, right now, a boat, Free Ranger, is on their way to Big Rock Landing, and it will get there at 7 o'clock tonight. So that is what is happening there. No word, because we're not down there, on what exactly they could be bringing back. Presumably, it would be a pretty sizable marlin. Now, there was a first marlin brought to the weigh station today at Big Rock Landing. This, of course, the first day of the 6-day event. And this was the announcement for the fish that the Savannah Lee brought in this afternoon.
439.2, 439.2. All right, 439.2 pounds on the Savannah Lee. Not quite going to break that 500-pound mark, but they are the leader right now in the record-breaking 68th annual Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament.
Yeah, tons of money in the purse. I think it's like a $4 million purse altogether, or a possibility somebody could win $4 million. I mean, that's stuff like J.T. Poston did on the golf course this weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a pretty good stuff there. Savannah Lee, the boat, Captain Troy Pate, and again, there is a boat making its way in there right now. One note, Diamond Heels make the College World Series, Pilk.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I understand that there's maybe kind of a misplayed ball that led to that. Is that?
Yeah, the walk-off hit was definitely misplayed by the outfielder, but I think even if he catches the ball, Carolina had all the momentum. Carolina's probably going to win it in extras. I mean, you never know. But what happened? They were down 1 run, and a guy hit a long fly ball that was foul, but he turned on it, and it was a no-doubter distance-wise. And ever since then, man, the USC pitchers looked afraid on the mound. Like 5 of the next 6 pitches were balls, and everything fell off there for the Trojans.
For the vast video audience, there's my fat face on the screen in stereo. Look at me up there, Pilk.
Is that you doing
on the Talk of the Town
morning?
from this morning that re-airs on Cable 7, where dozens. Well, no, it's fine if I'm on there. What's wrong with? I'm a handsome gentleman.
I didn't know if that was distracting for you.
Well, it's distracting, but it's all right. It's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. All right, I tell you what, I just don't want to distract you because, by God, that's the last thing we need is to distract you. All right, show is hopping today. I tell you what, let's go ahead and get a break in. We'll do our top 5 at 5 when we come back. And we've got some ECU baseball news from the weekend. We've got this deal with the Texas Tech quarterback. We're going to have a guest on to talk about that, but we'll mention it next. And a lot of other things. A lot of sound to get to. A lot of crunchy sound to get to today. So we're live, doing it live here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Stay tuned. We'll be back with our top 5 at 5 after this on the PJ Show.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Back to the show.
I missed you. We all missed you. Did you miss them?
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, Big Rock Week. We've already got a fish in. The Savannah Lee at 400, close to 440 pounds is the leader, but a boat is coming to Big Rock Landing at 7 o'clock, 5:09 on the PJ Show. David McKenzie coming up as we are in the studio today. And let's go now to Pilk for our top 5 at 5, the top 5 stories in the world of sports for this Monday.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
You ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Alrighty, number one
Numero
here.
uno.
Yeah, numero uno. It was announced over the weekend that East Carolina pitching coach Austin Knight has left the Pirate program for Tennessee. Pirate assistant and former Pirate ace Jake Agnos has been promoted to the new pitching coach in Greenville. Here's what Stephen Igo had to say about the situation earlier today on Hoist the Colors.
We knew Austin Knight, rising star in the business. This was probably going to happen eventually. He's got SEC background, SEC ties, and I think this was just a job he could not turn down. So we'll hit the Austin Knight side of this first, guys. For me, I'm happy for Austin personally, obviously professionally. I wish he would have stayed a Pirate, but I think this is a job, Brady. It's hard to say no to. You're talking about a program that just won a national championship a couple of years ago, and although they had a down year, they still were a 2 seed in a regional, and I think for him, he's got to take this.
So that's the Austin Knight side of things. Jake Agnos is promoted. He was in the Yankees organization, and he obviously spent this year, right, Pilk, under Austin Knight as kind of an assistant pitching coach, for lack of a better term. So I think from the standpoint of, as Igo's exactly right, you're losing a rising star. But if you're Austin Knight, and if you're even an ECU fan, you have to be understanding of the opportunity to go to the SEC, where baseball is funded at a gigantic level. And a place like Tennessee, that it is, and really throughout the whole league, for the most part, it is a huge deal in the SEC. Baseball is. And
no state income tax. So if they're giving them a raise, it's even more of a raise than what it looks like on paper.
That's actually a great point, yeah. So, from that standpoint, it's a positive. With Agnos, you do continue the program that is currently ongoing. And I think and I hope, and Agnos, as we said, has been in a pro organization. There is something to the Yankee way, I'm sure, Pilk. Even you, as a Sox fan, would admit that that's a pretty well-respected organization.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's some things I'm sure he can bring from that pro experience with all of the coaches and roving instructors and experts that he's worked with and bring to this. He's got a brother that is currently in AAA who's been in the bigs that he could also call on that experience from. So there are a lot of things there. And he's an alum. I think that's a huge thing. Being an alum, that gives you another alum on the coaching staff in the program. And how much are we seeing this now in other sports, Pilk, particularly basketball, where you have alumni of the institution are on staff because they know the way things are done. They know the way the head coach likes things done. So that's an important thing. And, congratulations to Jake. I think it's a great thing for him. And with all the pitching that the Pirates look to be returning, a lot of more announcements made over the weekend, especially if everybody's healthy, he's certainly going to have some talent to work with. And that is, look, the Jimmies and the Joes, that always helps.
Yeah, it does. So some of those names that got announced over the weekend, specifically on the pitching front, include Thomas Paxton, Ryan Towers, Ethan Rose, Sean Jenkins. But from what we understand, it sounds like he might not be available from a health side of things. And looks like most everybody else who has announced is a position player.
Colby Weber.
Oh, Braden Tolick. And Colby Weber. Yeah,
Colby Weber,
the last two on here.
And obviously, with Jenkins and Colby Weber, it's going to depend on the rehab and the health situation. Yeah. All right. What do we got next?
Number two.
Number two, it looks like there's going to be some change to how taxes are handled in North Carolina. NC lawmakers agreed to raise the tax on sports gambling operators. That's not our tax money. That is the money that the sports gambling companies are having to pay. Earlier today on Talk of the Town, Mitch Kokai, spoke with Patrick Johnson, and here's what he had to say on the new taxing.
Well, the first part is I think there's a very strong likelihood that tax rate goes up. You've talked about the fact that that's already seemingly in the deal. Now, we haven't seen the final number, but as you mentioned, 18% is the figure. There had been talks about anywhere from 20 to 30% being the higher figure, with the likely being at the lower end of that scale. I think that is fairly likely, and partly because both sides have agreed on lowering the personal income tax for everyone else, so you're going to have to replace some of that revenue. But probably that bringing UNC and NC State into it probably brings along some of the legislators who might otherwise be not as interested. But if they're State or Carolina backers saying, okay, well, maybe if our school gets some of this, we'll go along with it. My guess is all of that is still up for grabs. Plus, don't be surprised if the number ends up sticking at 18% if the gambling industry is successful in saying, wait a minute, you do this, you're going to cut out all of this the revenue that you're already getting. So we know that all of that is still in flux, and we won't see a final number until the legislators actually vote on a budget plan.
A couple things on this, Pilk. One, they're talking about lowering the income tax in North Carolina or putting it before the voters that would be capped, and obviously it would be lowered. It could go no higher than this down the road. So they've got to make up some money somewhere because a politician has never seen a pot of money they don't want to tax.
Yeah.
This also tells me that the efforts lobbying-wise for NC State have been particularly effective. And so where I think this is a good news, bad news if you're East Carolina. The higher that number is taxed means the more money that would be brought into the coffers, which would mean the possible payout to East Carolina would be greater, and greater than it is now.
Yeah.
Would be higher. But I don't to me, this tells me, and this is just merely speculative, I don't think, Pilk, that we're getting the situation where it's going to be even across the board for the 5 FBS public institutions. North Carolina and NC State, unfortunately, will get the higher amounts of this percentage-wise. App State, UNC Charlotte, East Carolina will get significantly more than they are getting now, but not what those other two are getting. That's what this tells me. I hope I'm wrong. So, again, a good news, bad news scenario.
Well, I think, Patrick, it's good news and then maybe more of the consistent bad, right? So the good news is you're probably going to get more, but you're probably going to get the same slice of the pie. The pie is going to be bigger.
Right.
I think you get the same percentage if, say, you're getting...
I think the percentage will be a little higher.
Okay.
With this. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, at the end of the day, it stinks, but let's just be able to compete in our conference. Let's go out there and see those numbers that South Florida and Memphis are posting and be able to compete with them. We don't have to compete with the SMUs and the Dukes of the world as those two teams do, where they've got this unlimited money coming in. I mean, it stinks. I want to be treated the same as them, but at the end of the day, let's at least be able to put a similar team onto the field as South Florida.
Next.
Number three.
Alrighty, number 3. Speaking of teams that like to spend a lot of money, Texas Tech, they spend a lot of money everywhere. Their quarterback spends a lot of money in the gambling realm, and he is their quarterback. It was a judge ruled earlier today that Brennan Sorsby will be eligible, and he has defeated the NCAA, meaning if the NCAA suited up to play the 08 Detroit Lions, they get their ass handed to them because they can't win a damn thing.
This is interesting. We're going to get David McKenzie, an attorney who specializes in this, on the show here in about 5 minutes. We're going to wrap this segment up and then go to him. Maybe sooner. So I don't want to get into too much. David will explain this, but here's, I think, the upshot of this, and you just nailed it there. And we'll ask David this. What does this open as far as a Pandora's box for other eligibility issues? I think this is a little different, and David maybe will explain how, but what kind of situation, what is going on in college sports? How does this wreck that model? We're going to find out when we talk to David.
This wrecks the model, Patrick, of integrity of sports and just us enforcing rules everywhere. This isn't a college.
It's not. This isn't an eligibility issue in the sense that the guy was a pro or drafted and then played in the G League and then came back, or maybe played in the UFL and came. This isn't that kind of deal. What this is you've got a guy who violated a rule.
Yeah.
A big rule. Don't bet on you. I mean, and I can't imagine the pros would want anything to do with him. But he found the right judge.
I mean, look, if Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame, then Brennan Sorsby should not be playing football at Texas Tech.
That's simply put, and you're probably right. We'll ask David McKenzie all of that next. As for now.
Fo.
That's right, fo. And it's appropriate. It's the NBA.
It is the NBA, and it is Game 3 of the Finals tonight inside the world's most famous arena and the world's most famous person, probably right now.
Or infamous.
Infamous, that too. Will be in attendance for the game. That is Mr. 45 and 47 himself, Donald Trump. And earlier today, Craig Carlton put out something kind of outlining, we'll hear it.
Madison Square Garden. It's funny to me how people are now saying what a disservice he's doing to real fans of the Knicks by showing up and making it harder for people to get into the building tonight because of the extra level of security. And then B, these famous now, somewhat infamous even, outside watch parties. The biggest one has been right outside Madison Square Garden, where you're getting, like 5, 6, 7,000 people all congregating to watch the game on the jumbotrons and then party like it's 1999. That party's canceled.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you that there's 3 other parties that the city has set up. Plus, every bar that's got a TV on is going to be a quote-unquote New York Knicks watch party. It is going to take you more time to get into the building. But when you compare that to the fact that there's 18,000 people going to the game and 30 million people watching the game, a very small minority of people are being negatively impacted by the president's appearance at the game.
And they won't acknowledge that. So Craig Carlton is spot on. Of course, the audio courtesy of WFAN there. I think it's exciting that the president is going. I mean, it's the first sitting president to attend an NBA Finals game. Yep. The Knicks ownership has invited him. Trump has gone to games in the past. And I do think, Pilk, that a couple things. One, it'll be interesting to see what kind of reception he gets, because they held a big political rally for the GOP in Madison Square Garden in New York City before this most recent election, national election. And he's been to UFC fights there and was cheered. So I now it's a different audience.
Yeah, NBA.
Right, it's a different. I get that, but I don't think it's going to be this overwhelmingly. He was at Yankee Stadium too, wasn't he?
I mean, I'm sure. I know he has been to many Yankee games back in the day. I'm sure
he was somewhere with baseball. I mean, every time he's gone to a college football game, he's cheered.
Well, when George is playing Alabama, I don't think there's many people.
Well, in Army, Navy. Bases. I mean, I get all that.
Yeah,
but I think it will be. And here's what I would do based on the. If I got a bad reception, I would get up like he did against the Meet the Press lady and leave.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, because then he'd look like
I'm making a joke.
Look, President Obama attended a game in Chicago when he was still in office. Bush used to go to Ranger games all the time. Obviously went to the Yankees game after 9/11.
Sure.
Look, I've been to sporting events where Trump's in attendance. Yeah, it takes longer to get through security. It kind of stinks. However, the one I went to was NASCAR, so they had to what took the extra time really wasn't hour scanning. It was the fact you're allowed to bring your own coolers in. It was like taking each individual beer can out of every cooler. Obviously, you don't have to worry about that with the NBA. Look, I know people who've been to Cameron when President Obama or President Bush goes to Duke Carolina games, which is pretty common. I want to say between the two of them, they've attended maybe 5 of them over the last, decade and a half, and said, yeah, it took a little extra time, but it really, I mean, maybe you were in line twice as long than you already would have been. They were in line for 20 minutes instead of 10. Come on. If it wasn't Trump, you wouldn't be bitching.
Next.
5.
Alrighty, number 5. Carolina Hurricanes did fall to the Vegas Golden Knights to make the series 2-1 in that 5-4 overtime loss the other day. Here's Rod Brindamore talking about how it really was just kind of a weird game.
That was kind of a weird game for me, because I thought we were okay to start. Even the start of the second, first 6 minutes, everything's going fine, and then take a bad penalty, and then they make a nice play, and then bad bounce on the second one, and then it snowballed on us there for the rest of that period. And I knew we were going to get going eventually. Get back in the game, give us a chance to win. But you can't have those mistakes in the second period. You just can't have them in this time of year.
It is extremely. This is shaping up to be an all-time series.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night is a must-win in Las Vegas for your Carolina Hurricanes. Not mine, your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm firmly off the bandwagon. Although, they got those 3 goals in 39 seconds, Bill. That was pretty amazing.
They did.
That was pretty wild. And then they get the tying goal on a little bit of controversy. But I couldn't make it through the overtimes. I was out like a light.
Hey, it's proud for you to stay up for as late as you did.
It is. When we return, David McKenzie, lawyer, talking on the Brendan Sorsby decision that grants him eligibility after gambling on NCAA games. He, in a sense, has been reinstated and will be eligible to play this year. We'll hear from lawyer David McKenzie on this when we come back.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Beep, beep. Move over, Buttercup. We're back to the show.
They're back! And I love them!
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Back on the Patrick Johnson Show, as we talked about in the Top 5 at 5, Brendan Sorsby has been granted an injunction by the NCAA. It's been a minute since we've had our next guest on, but he proved to be very popular. Attorney David McKenzie in the Triangle is with us. David, a NIL lawyer, First Amendment lawyer, intellectual property law. David is one of the very best. You'll hear him on 94.3 The Game from time to time, and it's great to have him on the show with us today yet again. Mr. McKenzie, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Hope everything's going well down east.
Yes, it is. Great time of year. Got the Big Rock going. Lots of stuff happening here from Greenville on East. All right, let's talk about this. This is a local judge who granted this injunction. So I guess the big question today is it that granular? And what would be any sort of appeals process, and what kind of weight does this decision carry?
Well, first, thanks for reminding me about Big Rock because I was going to go to our house in Beaufort this week. So maybe I'll have a lot to watch on the creek, but it is not a granular order one bit.
Okay.
It is 4 lines of conclusions. I think the overall, when you take out the caption, the entire order is probably it's less than 2 pages. If you single space it all, it'd probably be 3/4 of a page. It's not the finest legal reasoning that you're going to see from a jurist, whether it's in Texas or anywhere else. I think that people can theorize about whether there was bias because it was a local judge or not. I don't have any evidence before me to suggest that, but I do think that at least the legal reasoning part of it and the things that would compel him to come to this conclusion to issue a restraining order requiring Texas Tech and the NCAA to let this quarterback play, it's just not there. I mean, this isn't even 1L stuff. So I'm happy to say that. How he got the order and the sort of machinations behind that is a little interesting, that it was issued out of Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth. Apparently there was not another judge in Lubbock, Texas to do this. But that's where he's at, and he now has the right to play at Texas Tech, and the NCAA now has to figure out what it's going to do about its appellate options, which are not very significant, and really how to approach this very new theory, because this was not brought like the House case or the Allison case or any other case that we've seen in college athletics. It was not brought on antitrust grounds. It was brought on contract and equitable doctrines. And in my opinion, we just haven't seen that before. So this was a new one on me for sure.
The judge also suspended him for 2 games, Sorsby?
I have seen public of how he is somehow required to go through mental health counseling, related to his gambling addiction, and that he can possibly lose his right to play, which is a judicial creation if I've ever seen one.
Right.
Should he not go through the counseling process for his gambling addiction or whatever? But this judge, where is the law to allow this judge to do this? Is there an enabling statute out there that allows a judge to say, hey, I can restrict, based on these grounds, the NCAA from enforcing its probably most primary and important rule, and that is you don't bet on games.
Yeah.
And you especially don't bet on games involving your own team. This guy did it across 2 universities, Indiana and Texas Tech. I don't know where the enabling statutory authority was, and I'm sorry, just because somebody has an emotional problem and a gambling addiction, which is probably the biggest anathema in all of sports, across all of sports. And I don't care if we're talking about T-ball or we're talking about big-time college football. You don't do that. So where he got the enabling authority from is also a question mark. I didn't talk about that much in today's post, but certainly is a mystery to me on that one.
David McKenzie, and at McKenzie Law on X, he has outlined this beautifully. You tweeted, the legal theories the court accepted are more alarming than the result. So that maybe speaks to a little bit to what you've already spoken to. Elaborate on that statement, please.
Essentially, the court imposed a fiduciary duty on the NCAA as well as a breach of contract theory of more or less unclean hands that, because this kid had these extenuating circumstances of mental health problems, gambling addiction, that it should have taken those things into account and somehow, I guess, suspending its own rules about these kind of things. I got to tell you, when I say the legal analysis is not there, it is not there. It is preposterous, the reasoning. This is a daisy chain logic chain that's going on here that I cannot possibly really make sense of. And sometimes you do get a judge that just kind of makes it up as it goes along, and that's certainly how the feel of this here. But my reading of the order is that we basically have a young man, and the NCAA should have been more compassionate in not kicking him out of school for violating its most egregious rule.
We're here with David McKenzie, lawyer, and especially when it comes to sports and stuff, is his main focus. And, David, so my question for you is, you said there's this judge in Lubbock, and I know we can't speculate too much, and especially in your profession, you're not supposed to do it. But obviously we know Texas Tech has really been the biggest money spender here in the last couple of years. And, they're paying a softball pitcher $1 million. Am I wrong to think, there's this judge in Lubbock, there's this big oil guy in Lubbock, maybe they're friends? I don't know. Am I wrong to, I'm just going to come out and say it. Am I wrong to think? I know you can't, but can I?
Yeah, I can't say it. One of the professional ethics rules in being a lawyer in North Carolina is that we really aren't supposed to make those suggestions. So I can't.
Yeah.
But I think what happened in Lubbock in terms of the recusal, I think that the judge, we saw this recently in the Duke Darian Mensah case where the judge recused himself on the ground that he was a season ticket holder for Duke basketball. I thought that was exceedingly weak. But the judge not typically grounds to recuse yourself from a case involving your basketball team. I think judges are impartial arbiters of the law and that they can decide the cases on the facts and the law. And that, but it is very much within their discretion to recuse themselves or not. So we cannot, have a theory about why it is, the judge in Lubbock did recuse himself. It could be that he was a graduate of Texas Tech. It could be that he did know Cody Campbell. Either one of those are sufficient reasons under the judicial canons to recuse themselves. So, but how it got to this judge in Tarrant County, and apparently, I understand it was assigned to one judge and then went to another judge. We'll just never know the answer to those questions. What I can, I think, fairly do is criticize the judge's ruling. And where is the legal analysis? Where are the factual conclusions? You will not find any. Where is the conclusions of law? You will not find any. What you will find is basically a judge in Fort Worth saying that this guy was having a hard time. And because he was having a hard time, you shouldn't be so hard on him, NCAA, and need to reinstate him. And so we're going to, on a temporary basis, make you reinstate him so that he's eligible to play. Because remember, there was some kind of deadline coming up with the NFL, and this guy's radioactive right now with the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
They take betting on games very seriously, and so there was a time crunch, and they filed it right at the deadline, so that there's very little the NCAA can actually do in terms of a writ of supersedious or seeking appellate relief, which is going to be hard in its first place because appellate courts really don't like to disturb anything but a final order.
Right.
So there may have been some strategy going on here. If so, it was pretty smart on the quarterback's part.
How is this different than what we saw maybe with the Vandy quarterback Pavia? The situation with the basketball player at Alabama who had been drafted was coming back. There's other instances of that too, or does this open the door maybe for those type of instances as far as eligibility goes to be challenged, or is this just such a different deal because, as you say, of the contract aspect of it?
I think it's such a different deal because of the contract aspect, because we have not seen that floated so much before in any other situation. This is basically, how can you say the NCAA, number one, you first got to establish the existence of a valid contract between the NCAA and Sorsby. That's number one. Then two, which nobody has established. You can probably establish a contract between the NCAA and Texas Tech, but nobody has established privity of contract between Sorsby and Texas, and the NCAA. They got to establish the validity of a contract. Then you got to establish that there has been some breach of that contract. I am not hearing anything other than this kid was having a hard time. He probably couldn't. Nobody's saying this, but he's radioactive at the NFL.
Right.
Nobody's going to really want to draft him on these facts. So his only real option is to come back to Texas Tech, at least in the interim, until he's able to show that he's seen he's met God on Damascus Road and he's willing to change his ways. So until all of that happens, it seems to me that Texas Tech is his only option, but he still has to establish the existence of a contract, and then he also has to establish the existence of a breach. I don't know how in the world, if there's a breach, It is the breach flowing from Sorsby to the NCAA if there's a contract between the two at all. It is not a breach by the NCAA for enforcing its own rules, which presumptively Texas Tech has agreed to enforce upon Sorsby. Now, there is such a thing called a third-party beneficiary, which I won't get into because it's ever complicated, that could somehow allow there to be a contract between Sorsby and the NCAA. I don't know if a court has ever found that. I'm offhand driving back to Raleigh. I'm probably going to say in this day and age, yes and no, given how chaotic the whole litigation is on this.
Right.
But because of the unique nature of equitable claims in contract, and then breach claims in contract, and then the third prong being a fiduciary duty, I haven't seen that, and that really does open up the opportunity for plaintiff lawyers or lawyers like me who represent athletes to just blow the door wide open. Now, I'll be honest with you, Brent, my friend, I don't see any judge in North Carolina buying this garbage one bit and going ahead and reinstating a player who is in the most egregious way breaching the no betting on, especially no betting on your own team rule. It just would be very unlikely in this state.
David McKenzie, lawyer with us here. David's been good enough to join us on, I know it is a busy time for him, so we really appreciate this here this afternoon. I want to ask you about the Ted Cruz and others. It is a bipartisan legislation that is being floated out there. There was a very active deal on Capitol Hill last week. It doesn't look like there's going to be any movement on that or any decisions on that this week. I don't think it gets done. What is the best explanation that you could give us for why this is stalled congressionally right now?
Well, it's the same explanation with the SCORE Act. They don't have the vote. It's a really interesting situation where you have Deborah Cantwell of Washington State, who is on the left, and then you have Ted Cruz of Texas, who's on the right. They've come together in a very bipartisan manner and are trying to seek the resolution to the antitrust problem, in particular, involving NCAA athletics. And it was fascinating because, well, one, you got to realize that Cruz and Cantwell need 60 votes. They can't get it by a simple majority like they can in the House.
Yeah.
But it was a fascinating turnabout because you saw that the SEC and the Big Ten, that they were lobbying for something like 8 years and had spent tens of millions of dollars on lobbyists trying to get the SCORE Act passed. It just could never really make it happen. And then sort of in a second iteration in this Save College Sports Act or whatever it's called, it starts with a P, but Protect College Sports Act. You see that these senators are actually targeting the Big Ten and the SEC.
Right.
Basically saying, reminding Greg Sankey and Petiti who's boss. And that was a fascinating thing because it basically required, like, for leagues that make over $1 billion a year, you got to do this or you got to do that. I don't have the bill before me, but there's only two leagues that make over $1 billion a year, and that's the Big Ten and the SEC. So it was a strange turn of events for those two leagues in that Congress reminds them who's boss and essentially said that the two of you are not joining forces. And then also the prevention of a creation of a super league that would be limited. I think that the Cantwell version of the bill and the Cruz version of the bill left open the question of treating student athletes as employees, not student athletes. I think that was a big thing for Cantwell to have. Cruz obviously negotiated that with her, and I think it's keeping in mind an eventual antitrust exemption as long as everyone is involved. And I think Cantwell is thinking specifically of Washington State and Oregon State.
Right.
Now, why this is not getting passed, and I've said this to some of your friends in the industry who do radio shows, is that, when you think about somebody like Tom Tillis, it doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. Tom Tillis has to represent Charlotte, ECU,
right,
NC State, UNC, all these schools. So, and every senator does. It doesn't matter who it is, whether you're in Michigan and you're going to leave Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan out in the cold, Troy down in Alabama. There's all these schools that have a lot of voters too. And so by just doing a solid to those who are part of the Big Four, so-called or the P4, Power Four, by doing them a solid, they're sticking it to millions of other voters. And so it's not such a palpable thing to go ahead and say, oh, sure, we're going to help out. We're going to help out UVA and Virginia Tech, but we're going to leave ODU and VCU and JMU behind. It's just not something that most senators who represent an entire state and a plethora of schools can stomach. That's why it's not moving the needle.
Does this inevitably get done on Congress? I think it doesn't, and I think we're right back here a year from now.
You know, who knows? I feel like I could spin the wheel and just pick something. And at this point, you know, there's everything that they're doing is so fraught with questions on constitutional problems. You know, they create a law. That doesn't mean that some judge is going to uphold it.
Well, that was the last thing I wanted to leave you with, David. What would be, based on what you know about this act now, this PROTECT Act, what would be the legal challenges that could plausibly be argued?
Well, and this is getting into some really deep stuff, and I don't want to alienate people, but the number one that leaps out at me is the private delegation doctrine. Mm-hmm. This is the notion that Congress enacts a law, and then it's up to the executive branch to enforce it. What you can't do is go to the private sector to enforce what is a public law. Mm-hmm. And what you have with both the SCORE Act and the Protect College Sports Act is basically that you're having the powers that be asking to regulate and enforce these rules against themselves. So that this has happened in big oil context, where you basically say, okay, we're going to grant an antitrust exemption to all these oil companies, and then we're going to put all the oil company CEOs at the table to interpret the law and enforce it. I mean, it's ridiculous, and that's been struck down as unconstitutional. That's the number one problem that I see with both acts. I mean, if you can imagine a bunch of monkeys sitting around the table trying to parse the law and sort of adjudicate it and then impose penalties and everything else, that's what's essentially been asked to do, and it's ultimately up to the executive branch or some form thereof, whether it's Commerce or the FTC or something, to do that. So that's the number one thing with both acts that I see as problematic. And then to the extent that they are targeting the SEC and the Big Ten, I hate, as much as I'm sick and tired of hearing the SEC and Big Ten talk about and threatening to hit the eject button, that you cannot, as a matter of constitutional law, necessarily enact a law that specifically targets some person on an irrational basis. And I think that would be a potential argument to raise as well in challenging both those laws. I think that ultimately for the laws to pass muster, one, they got to get an antitrust exemption, and then I think, you know, equal protection, where I think everybody has to be to be able to be on the dance floor and not have ways of excluding them from the dance floor. I think that's something that senators are really concerned about. Maybe one way of doing that is through the promotion and relegation system that they have, like in European soccer. And then I think the other way of possibly doing that is let's just let the free market work, which is what I'm in favor of. Every professional league, its success has been contingent, in my opinion, on two economic factors. One, it's an egalitarian model when it comes to the distribution of media rights. That happens in MLB, the NFL, the NHL. Every league does it. The second is that they treat the players as employees through collective bargaining. And so you're able to limit the number of times that somebody can, you know, transfer, for example, even though they don't have necessarily transfers in pros, but you can limit the number of transfers, the number of times that they can transfer through collective bargaining. That's a free market approach, and it works. And one of the reasons it works, and I think, you know, the Wall Street Journal would agree with me, is that professional sports are basically partnerships. You have the ownership that is partnering with the players because they're nothing without each other. And so my sense is that even though colleges are kicking and screaming to the table to admit that they're professional organizations, these are professional sports, at least in football and basketball, even though they're kicking and screaming, they're going to get to a place of collective bargaining. My sense is that because so much of this is such a losing proposition for so many schools, that you're going to see football and basketball spin off into for-profit LLCs or incorporations, whatever it is, that license the intellectual property, that is the trademarks and to some extent the copyright, and then lease the venues. and then have some sort of sharing arrangement with the revenue with the university, because that's going to probably be a cleaner way to handle those collective bargaining issues.
Hey, David, we got to stop for now. Short on time, hard break here, but thank you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again down the road. Really appreciate the time.
Glad to be with you guys.
Great to have David McKenzie. We'll be back right after this.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color, and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
The hunting and fishing event of the summer comes to the Greenville Convention Center, July 11th and 12th, bringing together the best hunting and fishing vendors, outfitters, and fishing experts, all under one roof. Special free events, including a mountain trout pond, indoor archery range, offshore fishing experience, interactive duck blind, and free seminars. Don't miss it. The Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo is July 11th and 12th.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacomas $259 a month or Tundras only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, where are my notes for the rest of the week? Bethany Bradsher's scheduled to be with us. Looks like we're going to have Joe Albee, here it is, with us a little later in the week. Formerly of the Carolina Outdoor Journal, which is still airing. But they've got a big hunting and fishing show coming up next month we want to tell all the folks about. And we've been in touch with, speaking of the Protect College Sports Act, Amanda Kristovich from Front Office Sports, who's a friend of the show. She's been covering everything going on up at Capitol Hill with that this week. With that, we just talked about the Sorsby ruling. According to Ross Dellinger and On3, both reporting that that Big 12 ADs are in, quote, serious talks. And they are having these serious talks about not playing Texas Tech after the Sorsby ruling. The Big 12's got a mess on its hands if that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get where they're coming from. I mean, look, the thing that's been the biggest no-no of all time is just, it's cool. You know, I mean,
I wonder if the backlash on this would inevitably cause things to go awry, in a sense.
For the NCAA to actually act?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Or for the Big 12 to step in and say, look, it doesn't matter what the judge says.
Yeah, he's not playing in Big 12 games. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if the NCAA would say, you know what? Yeah, he can play, but you're not eligible for postseason play if he plays. That'd be nice. The problem is they don't even run the postseason. The College Football Playoff Committee runs it, not the NCAA.
And that maybe even needs to step up.
Yeah.
Nito, fun fact stats from the weekend you wanted to bring up, Pilk?
Yeah, a couple interesting things happened. Denny Hamlin got his 63rd career Cup Series win, tying Kyle Busch for 9th all-time. He had a nice little tribute flag there that had a 1 on it for his number 11, paired with the 8 on it for the number 18. Obviously, they were teammates for a long time at Joe Gibbs Racing. Also, on the tennis side of things, we had 2 new major champions, both on the women's and the men's sides. Mira Andreeva of Russia, 19-year-old, gets her first Grand Slam title at Roland Garros, and Alexander Zverev of Germany, after being previously 0-3 in Grand Slam finals, gets his first win on Sunday.
I went to my niece's state cheer competition. It was her last event cheering for the Wilson team because her parents have gotten a job, my sister and her spouse, and they're moving. And my sister already has a job. They're going to move to Fayetteville. In fact, they just bought a house, like a nice house on a golf course or near it. And so I went to my niece's state competition for cheerleading, and I paid $4 for a bottle of water inside the arena at Campbell. That's where they held it, in Bowie's Creek.
It's ridiculous, man. I remember paying those cheer prices for my sister. But just to confirm, your niece now is not a 24-year-old, correct?
True, yes.
Like Hare Jordan?
Child, yeah. No, she's not like Hare Jordan, an adult cheerleader. Although I think if we'd stuck around, we might have seen Bill Belichick. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe we might have seen him. By the way, not the thing, I mean, it's nice, but wasn't blown away by the Campbell campus and the arena. They were playing some kind of summer baseball in the baseball stadium, too. I didn't see the football stadium, though. Just didn't work out. All right. Big thanks to David McKenzie for being with us. We'll be back. I'll be back in the morning, Talk of the Town, for Henry Hinton, and then back here tomorrow hosting the Patrick Johnson Show at 5 o'clock. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody.